Hello everyone, this is Shweta, Assistant Professor Public Administration, Government College Deeg. In the last video, we studied about comparative public administration, its nature, meaning, and scope. In this video today, we are going to study about significance and approaches. First of all, we will talk about significance of comparative public administration. As we all know that comparative public administration stands for cross-cultural and cross-national public administration. When administrative institutions are studied comparatively, they are analyzed with reference to administrative behavior. By doing this, scholars can have general principles which can be applied universally. So it gives greater understanding of the subject. Academic utility of the concept is much higher. Yes, it seeks knowledge for knowledge. One of the motivating concern behind developing this concept is theory building. So it has widened the horizon of public administration because traditional public administration was culture bound, but CPA is cross cultural in its orientation and thrust. So it helps to eliminate the narrowness of provincialism and regionalism. It has led to greater scientific outlook. We all know that one of the eminent scholar F.W. Riggs also noticed a shift from ideographic studies to nomothetic studies. Ideographic studies, we have studied about this thing. One nation studies are ideographic studies and universal studies are nomothetic studies. And comparative public administration is universal in nature. It has brought public administration and politics closer to each other. It helps in examining the causes of successes and failure in different administrative institutions, in different ecological settings. Yes, it tries to know the specific features or techniques applied to any administrative organization. It's in its cultural setting to run the system. It also finds out what extent any organization is successful or whether they have achieved their goals or not. So it helps in understanding strategies of administrative reforms so that they can be applied to administrative systems to reform their administrative behavior, structure, procedure, uh, and various other things. It broadens the field of social science research. CPA scholars believe that it has helped in finding out those factors which can enhance the effectiveness of the administrative system according to their environment. Now we are going to study about approaches to study comparative public administration. First of all, we need to know what this term means approach. Approach is a viewpoint, how we view anything. What is the center of focus in any discipline? Approach tells us that. So basically, in comparative public administration, there are three approaches: structural functional approach, ecological approach, and developmental approach. So first of all, we'll discuss about structural functional approach. This term adapted from sociology and anthropology. Basically, structural functional approach was applied to the discipline sociology. In 1955, Dwight Waldo referred to this approach in public administration for the first time, but F.W. Riggs was the first who used this approach for the first time in public administration in his model Agraria Industria model in 1957. In 1961, he also published one of his famous work, The Ecology of Public Administration, in which he explains interaction between administrative systems and its environment. In this approach, structure is taken as pattern of actions and functions are consequences of those actions. So, this approach says that in society there are various kinds of structures and they perform a certain preset functions. So, administrative systems are taken as subsystem of society. Every administrative system has certain structure according to which functions are divided and executed. Yes, in this approach, public administration is taken as planned dynamic activity, just like a machine which is studied with its organs. Administrative institutions or structures have some specific functions which are performed in a certain way. So we cannot study administrative institution in isolation because they have various organs. They work interdependently, they don't work in isolation. So we have to study administrative organization with reference to their parts, with reference to their organization. This approach says that to run the system properly there should be a coordination amongst different kind of organs. Riggs identified five functions which are performed in each society. They are political, economic, social, symbolical, and communicational functions. And the same set of functions can be applied to administrative institutions also. Structures may be concrete, such as government departments and bureaus, and they may be analytical, such as division of work, hierarchy, etc. So, this was all about structural function approach. Now, we'll move on ecological approach. Ecological approach in public administration was initiated by G.M. Gose in 1947. Roscoe Martin in 1952 and F.W. Riggs in 1961. F.W. Riggs is the foremost exponent of this approach in public administration. He used this approach to analyze administrative systems in developing countries. Basically, this term was used in biology, where interaction between flora and fauna and its environment is studied. In public administration, F.W. Riggs is credited with bringing this approach in this field. Again, in his famous work, The Ecology of Public Administration in 1961. This approach studies interaction between administrative institutions and their environment. The environment may be of political, social, economic, and cultural in nature. Administrative organizations are influenced by the environment, and in turn they influence the environment also. So it was all about ecological approach. Now I'll study about developmental approach. Developmental approach emerged as a subfield in 1950s and 1960s of public administration. This term developmental administration was first coined by UL Goswami, an Indian scholar. He used this term in his article entitled The Structure of Development Administration in India, published in 1955. But it is believed that it is George Kent, an American scholar, who is regarded as the father of development administration. He used this term in his book Development Administration Concepts, Goals, Methods, that was published in 1979. Edward Widener, George Grant, F.W. Riggs are some of the eminent scholars in this field. Widener commented that traditional public administration has forgotten the ends and glorified the means. Yes, he says that development administration is maximizing innovation for the development. He stressed that the problem of how to maximize the effectiveness of a bureaucracy so that it contributes to growth in the direction of modernity or nation building and socio-economic progress is problem of how to strengthen innovational forces in bureaucracy. So he says that developmental administration is all about maximizing innovation. F.W. Riggs says that development administration is organized efforts to carry out programs or projects thought by those involved to serve development objectives. Yes. One more thing we need to know here, F.W. Riggs made a significant contribution to the field of development administration. He made a difference between development administration and administrative development. Development administration, he says, organized effort to carry out programs or projects thought by those involved to serve development objectives. And by administrative development, he says that strengthening of administrative capabilities is administrative development. Now we'll talk about characteristics of development administration. First of all, change orientation, that is bringing about socio-economic change rather than maintenance of status quo. Second, goal orientation. Goal orientation is to achieve the preset goals. Commitment is high morale or motivation in work situation. Client orientation. Development administration talks about client orientation, that is meeting of needs of specific target groups. Then temporal dimension is also important in development administration, that is completing those programs within a time frame. Citizen participative orientation. Citizen participative orientation means there should be a participation of citizens in the process of policy making, in the process of development of the nation. Next is innovativeness. Innovativeness, that is replacing, improving administrative structures, methods, or procedures for the effectiveness, for the realization of potential of citizenry in a nation. Next is ecological perspective, because administrative institution cannot be studied in isolation, so ecological perspective should be taken care of. Effective coordination. Achieving coordination between multiple specialized units and programs involved in developmental tasks. The last one is responsiveness. Responsiveness means responding to the needs and demands of people. So these are the features of development administration. So in this video, we have studied about significance of comparative public administration and the approaches to study comparative public administration. In short, we can say CPA. Thank you.